Hello, I'm Sheriff Rambusk, and I want to welcome you to On Scene.
I'm Sergeant Bobby Jo Edwards of the Collier County Sheriff's Office Domestic Violence Unit. Domestic violence is a pattern of controlling, abusive behavior in any relationship that is used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another intimate partner. Domestic violence can be physical, sexual, emotional, economic, psychological actions or threats of actions that influence another person. This includes any behaviors that intimidate, manipulate, humiliate, isolate, frighten, terrorize, coerce, threaten, blame, hurt, injure, or wound someone. Domestic violence is not just a disagreement, a marital spat, or anger management problem. Domestic violence is abusive, disrespectful, and hurtful behaviors that one intimate partner chooses to use against the other partner. Domestic violence can happen to anyone regardless of race, age, sexual orientation, religion, or gender. Domestic violence affects all people of socioeconomic backgrounds and education levels. Domestic violence occurs in both opposite sex and same-sex relationships and can happen to intimate partners who are married, living together, or just dating. Domestic violence not only affects those who are abused, but also has a substantial effect on family members, friends, co-workers, other witnesses, and the community at large. Children who grow up witnessing domestic violence are among those seriously affected by this crime. Frequent exposure to violence in the home not only predisposes children to numerous social and physical problems, but also teaches them that violence is a normal way of life, therefore increasing their risk of becoming society's next generation of victims and abusers. Law enforcement officers play a critical role in responding to domestic violence calls. A victim's initial contact with officers is more likely to occur after he or she has experienced multiple incidents of violence at the hands of the perpetrator. Historically, the criminal justice system's involvement with the victims and perpetrators began only after serious injury and after a pattern of abuse has been well established. Today, law enforcement officers have more tools than ever to enhance the safety of victims and to hold perpetrators accountable for this violence. The Collier County's Domestic Violence section emphasizes evidence-based prosecution and seeks to focus on the crime and its impact without relying on the victim's participation in the prosecution. A victim may not feel safe to participate in the prosecution because of threats made by the perpetrator. Danger for victims often escalates when he or she pursues legal remedies through the criminal justice system. Evidence-based prosecution of domestic violence cases relies on prosecution of the offender without testimony from most or all of the key witnesses. Instead, the attention is placed on gathering alternative forms of evidence, including, but not limited to, excited utterances, photographs, 911 calls, and other important forms of evidence. Photographic evidence collection is a very critical and very powerful tool during investigation of domestic violence crimes. When physical injuries are evident to an officer who responds to a domestic violence call, photographic documentation of those injuries will assist in the prosecution of the batterer without the victim's direct testimony. The Collier County Sheriff's Office Domestic Violence Section continuously trains patrol of the importance of good first responder reports, photos, and statements. At the Collier County Sheriff's Office, all domestic violence incidents are documented and forwarded to the Domestic Violence Section. The preferred response procedure would be to arrest the perpetrator or primary aggressor. If probable cause or the primary aggressor cannot be established, separating the parties for the night is suggested. An investigator from the Domestic Violence Section will review the responding deputy's report from the incident. The detective will attempt to contact the victim. The detective may request a more detailed re-interview and may meet with you to take follow-up photos of any visual injuries. The detective may also request that you sign a medical release form. The detective will also attempt to interview the offender and any witnesses. Further evidence may be requested or collected. The detective will then present the case to the state attorney's office. The state attorney's office will decide if the evidence merits charging the offender with a crime. The state attorney's office will also look at the past history of the offender as well as probation status. Some intimate partner violence victims do not consider themselves abused because they have not been physically beaten, and most will offer up the fact that they are being abused, whether their abuse is physical, verbal, sexual, financial, and/or emotional. What can you do to help a friend or loved one? Start a conversation. Ask questions. Does your partner or caregiver make you feel afraid or controlled? What happens when you disagree with each other? Does he or she put you down, threaten, or hurt you? Victims may also use alcohol or medications or experience depression. A recurrent history of being accident-prone is also a clue, as is an overly attentive partner who attempts to answer questions directed at your friend or loved one, or a partner who bullies and criticizes the victim. What can you do to help? Call 239-775-1101 24 hours a day for confidential support. Outside Collier County, call the Florida Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-500-1119. Don't blame the victim. There are many reasons why a victim may stay. Suggest they discuss a safety plan with the shelter's experts. Tell them you are afraid for them, their children, or pets. Teach children to call 911. Let them keep an extra set of keys and an escape bag at your house or office. Be there when they need you. Empower them to make decisions for themselves and respect those choices. Help with childcare, transportation, a place to stay, job, lending money, but don't risk your own safety. Also, you could give this web address, www.naplesshelter.org. If you are the victim of domestic violence in an emergency, call 911. Go to a safe spot or neighbors and call the police. Take children and pets too. Stay away from the kitchen, garage, any rooms that contain weapons and small spaces. If the police come, explain in detail what occurred. Take pictures of all injuries and damages. Protect yourself at home. Get help by calling 911, the shelter's confidential 24-hour abuse hotline. Always carry a charged cell phone. Know your phone's blackout areas. Change locks on your doors and install locks on your windows. Screen phone calls. Plan an escape route from your home and teach it to your children. Know where you will go to escape. Take a self-defense course and carry a noisemaker or personal alarm. Keep your court orders and emergency numbers with you at all times. If you have to travel to another state, take your injunction for protection with you. It's valid everywhere in the United States. Be safe at work. Keep a copy of your court order at work. Give or show a picture of your abuser to your supervisor and security guards, the receptionist, and friends. Ask someone to screen your calls. Park in a well-lit space close to the door. Ask security or a coworker to walk you to your car, bus, and lunch. Save all voicemail messages and emails from the abuser. Actions to consider: 911 in emergencies and report the violence. Seek an injunction for protection to keep the abuser away. Seek medical attention for injuries. Call the shelter's 24-hour hotline. Keep a journal and photos of the abuser, and keep this in a spot where the abuser will never find it. If you are being abused, remember, you are not alone. It's not your fault, and help is available. If you have any questions or concerns about domestic violence, please call the Collier County Sheriff's Office at 239-252-9300.
Mansfield of the Collier County Sheriff's Office. I've been with the Sheriff's Office approximately 25 years, and I am currently in charge of the Crime Scene Bureau. The Crime Scene Bureau has a team of crime scene investigators whose responsibility is to respond to the various types of scenes when requested. And once at the scene, their responsibilities are to document the scene, to process the scene for evidence, and to collect and preserve evidence for future lab submissions and or court testimony. There are various types of scenes that a crime scene investigator will respond to. Some of these scenes will be property related, such as burglaries to a vehicle or a business or residence, or it could be a theft investigation involving a vehicle or large sums of money. In addition, the crime scene investigator responds to persons type crimes, which could be aggravated battery, sexual assaults, death investigations, all the way up to homicides. Here at the Sheriff's Office, deputies are trained to process basic scenes and routinely submit evidence to the Crime Scene Bureau for processing. One of the main responsibilities of a crime scene investigator is to process scenes for evidence. This evidence processing could include fingerprints, biological evidence, hairs and fibers, tool mark impressions, as well as shoe and tire impressions that might have been left behind by the suspects. The Crime Scene Bureau provides coverage 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. We have 2 shifts, a day shift and an afternoon shift, and then the remainder of the time is covered by an all-call schedule. Our crime scene investigators will receive various types of training throughout their career. A new crime scene investigator will undergo a 12-week field training program where they will learn the basic skills needed to process scenes. In addition, members of the Crime Scene Bureau will continue their education by attending advanced forensic courses. If you are a victim of a crime that requires forensic services, it is our recommendation that you avoid the area to prevent contamination or destruction of crucial evidence. The successful documentation, collection, and preservation of physical evidence is vital to the criminal investigation. If you have any questions about the Crime Scene Bureau or the services we provide, please feel free to contact the Collier County Sheriff's Office at 252-9300.
Where's the beat? Where's the beat? Where's the beat? Where's the beat?
We hope you've enjoyed our program, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you for being our partner for a safe community.